Out of Darkness. Out of Darkness is a film that is set 45,000 years in the past. And the language that they use in the film, the movie is subtitled, and there actually is a lot of dialogue, but I would argue that you almost don't need any dialogue for this movie because everything is so simple. You kind of get it in context what they're communicating. But it's a language called Tola, which was a totally invented language by a linguist and archaeologist, and it's based on, it's based on what may have been an ancient language. Out of Darkness is about a small tribe of people, men and women, that are being chased by something in the darkness, which, what is it? Is it a creature? What is it? Turns out it's just another tribe that is hunting them, but they're being hunted by all this crazy stuff in the forest. It's a story of survival. And I'm sorry to say, even at a 90-minute running time, I was actually kind of bored with the film, and my mind started going, they have these clean-cut haircuts, and all I thought to myself was, some of the characters have this sort of wild hair, and some of the characters in it have like hair that's kind of clean cut. And all I was thinking as I'm watching the movie was, how do they cut their hair? The basic, weapons they have are like spears and rocks. And
they don't have knives. Could you cut hair? Did you cut it like that with a knife?
I feel like they maybe even needed a scene where they're just like, one of the characters is grooming another one. So it's like, oh, that's how they get their hair like that. But I'm sitting there going like, that hair is way too manicured for this to be someone from 45,000 years in the past. In any case, I was bored by it. I really wanted to like it. It kind of starts off actually pretty good. It starts off with like, ooh, what's chasing them? What's it's, fear of what's out there in the dark. But I was thoroughly bored. The whole invented language thing whatever. Does it really matter? It doesn't. And like I said, almost everything, you could have gleaned meaning from the context. You actually didn't need subtitles. So I did not, I really, really wanted to like this because, just the setup of it, the sort of clever nature. Didn't love it, and by the end didn't care. And the fact that also like a lot of the characters kind of look alike because they're all just like incredibly filthy, dirty people. They end up, the climax of the movie ends up like they're in this cave trying to escape whatever. And I was just bored and didn't care. And you couldn't tell the characters apart. I can't tell you a character's name because they're all, I'm sure they had names. Didn't matter to me. God, this is the worst reaction. I'm not saying that this is a bad movie. It's definitely not a good movie. And this is the worst reaction, a movie that is sort of like in the middle, like meh. And that's Out of Darkness to me.
I can tell you, those are the hardest movies to review.
Yes, it's
the ones that, like, if you really dislike something or you really like something, those are the easy reviews.
Right.
When they fall in the middle here. It just sounds like it's that typical, what's out in the dark, what's hunting me, but with a new skin to it, so to speak. And in those cases, you're really looking for something to elevate that story, that basic story. And it sounds like they tried to do it, I guess, with the Native American angle,
right?
But they just couldn't quite pull it off there.
Well, Sean Hu, I'm going to get to your comment. I was just thinking of this movie, Quest for Fire. Ray Don Chong is in that film. That's a film from, I believe it's from the 80s.
Yeah.
Quest for Fire is similar to this in the sense that it's primitive, you kind of glean the Quest for Fire is really clever. Mm-hmm. It's funny. It has a story. There's the whole thing. There's the thing that I remember about it is one of the ways that these ancient, primitive people would have sex is the women would actually be at the river drinking water and the men would just sneak up behind them and have sex from behind. But no, this is real. This is in the movie. It's played very innocent. It's played for comedy, but the one woman she wants to have sex with this guy, but she makes him turn around so they're facing each other, which is really weird for him. It's like, oh, we've always had sex this way. Now we're going to have sex facing each other. Quest for Fire is very good. I don't know if it holds up, though. I have not seen that movie since the 80s, but I remember really enjoying it because there are parts that are whimsical, that are comedic. There is a hero's journey. Out of Darkness has none of that.
Yeah.
There's not a hero's journey. There's no sex. It was just plain boring.
Yeah, it's very formulaic. Yeah, I mean, I always tell filmmakers when you make a film like this, you need 3 moments that are memorable, that
Right.
you want to talk about, that you want the audience to talk about. Even if you have like a weak story or a basic story like this, you need to create a moment that people are going to remember, and preferably 3, like I say. Otherwise, I think you're just, it's like you got to try harder, especially if you're an indie filmmaker, to say that I know more about making a movie than just making a movie. I know how to create moments, and that's what we need.
Yeah, I can't think of one memorable moment from this, but I remember Quest for Fire from the 80s. I remember that. I can't tell you anything about a movie I saw yesterday that stood out in my mind. What does that tell you? And let's go to your chat comments.
Well, I would say the way you described Quest for Fire was Harvey Weinstein part of it.
Right. But it's played humorously. The women desire the men, right? But so it's not played. It's just that the way that they're having sex is a primitive way that the character played by Ray Don Chong is like, no, look at me. We can do it this way. And then the guy is very surprised, like, oh, they learn to make love instead of just have sex. It's done in a very innocent way in Quest for Fire. Yes, there's a sex scene, so perhaps it's rated R. I don't recall, but